don't remember asking you a goddamn
Hello, Internet. Welcome back to the podcast that no one asked for. My name is Guy, and I'm joined this week by Nova's Most Wanted, Frazier.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
And today we'll be talking about the only thing that matters in sports. The Washington Nationals have won the World Series. Frazier, where were you last night to watch the win?
I was out with the people down at Nats Park, watch party, the fourth of the series, Game 7, in the rain.
Yeah, and the Nats were the first team in Major League history to win 4 road games and clinch a World Series. And so all those watch parties were probably lit because we won all of them. And especially with the series clinching Game 7.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The team made a lot of history this postseason.
For this podcast, we're going to talk specifically about Game 7, but also about the series as a whole. We'll probably bounce back and forth between the two. We are a bundle of joy and emotions, so if it's less than coherent, our apologies. We're doing our goddamn best. It was a late night yesterday.
Coming down finally off the high of last night.
What was your gut reaction to the Game 7 win and how we won?
So I wasn't really surprised by how we won. If you go back to the podcast that we did right before the NLDS, I basically said, if we hit, we'll win. And every game that we hit in, we won. And I think I also said that 4 runs is the magic number. And every game that we scored 4 runs, at least, we won those games as well. My main issue was Greinke was dealing, and we had no answer for him. I just wanted the team to grind out at bats and get him out of the game. And I felt once we got him out of the game, we'd be able to win the game.
Yeah, Robles is probably still having nightmares about his Greinke at bats.
None of that matters anymore because we persevered and we're world champions.
Absolutely. When it came to the series in whole, what was your most memorable moment?
My most memorable moment of the World Series, one of Juan Soto's home runs. Probably the first one in Game 1 off Garrett Cole that he took opposite field. Welcome to the World Series, Juan Soto. Childish Bambino.
Yeah, that home run was glorious. My specific one that I loved was when he carried the bat. Because he crushed it, and it wasn't a particularly good pitch, so a lot of people could pop that up and it goes nowhere. He got all of it, and then he mocked Bregman by carrying the bat to first base. I'm not one of the unwritten rules of baseball guys. I think the people should be allowed to have a little bit of fun. If you get one-upped, home run for home run in the World Series, however you want to celebrate it. If he did a Jose Bautista bat flip, fine by me. Like, who cares? Have a good time. It's the World Series. You might never be back.
Baby. Yeah, baby, make baseball fun again.
My most memorable moment, I think, is probably the Game 6 Rendon performance. Every time he got it up to bat, I was just like, what crazy shit is he going to do now? That's going to be fucking awesome. And he's so chill about his accomplishments.
At some points, it seems like he might have had a lobotomy. He's so lifeless out there. They love to talk about how his heart rate doesn't rise over 70, regardless of the situation. But yeah, it was nice to see him bounce back in Game 6 because he, in particular, disappeared during the homestand, Games 3, 4, and 5.
Well, he's from Houston, so he had a double home. He probably had more family members at the games in Houston than he did at the ones in D.C.
Probably.
But all in all, it was an amazing Game 6 performance, and I'll never fucking forget it. Just like that 6-for-6 game he had a couple years ago. Let's talk about the bums and bosses. I don't believe that we even need to bring up bums in this situation. I want to make this a positive conversation and keep it on the up and up. So I am just going to talk about a boss. And for me, it has to be Corbin. Every situation he was put in throughout the entire postseason, was not what he was used to, except for the couple starts, and never said anything about it except for I'll do whatever it takes to help the team win. However they need me, I'll show up. And for the third best pitcher on his staff to basically have more relief appearances, that's rare in the postseason. And his attitude about it was, fuck it, let's go, let's win. And I love that. So that's why he's my boss. What about you?
Corbin's a good pick. He definitely earned that $140 million. My boss would probably go to Adam Eaton. He did everything a baseball player is supposed to do. Played small ball, laying down, base runner, advancing bunts. He hit the long ball. He hit doubles. He even hit a triple in the postseason. So, and he had some good plays in the outfield, with the leather. So for him to have a bounce back year, and the team ultimately end up in the World Series, and he is a clutch performer, he's definitely a boss in my book.
Yeah, I thought he would be the talented player that was playing 90 games a year because he was either hurt or unavailable for the rest. And it's good to see that that's not the case this year. And I mean, he's so valuable to the lineup because he's so versatile. Let's move on to the most special of the specialists of the specialists shout outs. Usually, the special shout out is pretty easy for me. I don't know about for you, but this time may be the hardest special shout out to pick. There are a list of 20 people, more or less, that I would feel comfortable and I think also deserve it. But who do you want to give a special shout out to?
Special shout out to Mike Rizzo, the president and general manager of the Washington Nationals. When the team was 19-31, and everyone wanted to get rid of Davey Martinez, I was actually blaming Mike Rizzo. I was like, you put this team together. You're the one that needs to fix it. Obviously, we had injuries and stuff. To his credit, he moved some pieces around, brought up young prospects. Our fifth starter position was in flux. He re-engineered the bullpen, brought in Gerardo Parra, and he ended up putting this thing together, and then just guys playing to the back of their baseball card, as he likes to say, they ended up going on a roll and had the best record in baseball from that point, and ended up being world champions. So my shout out goes to Mike Rizzo.
I had a feeling you would pick him because that was also my choice. So my special shout out is going to go to the fans. It is a unique experience to watch a fan base grow from basically infancy and learn how to watch a baseball game and enjoy it and cheer and support a team. And even when we were losing, I feel like the response was more tempered than some other fan bases. But the support when we started winning, it was instantly off the charts. And throughout the whole postseason, being able to basically fill the ballpark and the bullpen for watch parties and all of the red and curly W's I've been seeing throughout town. The fan experience of this World Series run has been amazing. So I wanted to give a special shout out to the fans so we wouldn't both have Rizzo.
Yeah, shout out to the fans. Hope to see you guys at the parade on Saturday.
I know I'll be there. Now it's time for the hardest category, and we're going to definitely split this into two. We're going to talk about the most valuable performer, and we're going to give one out for Game 7 and then one out for the series. So, Frazier, Game 7, most valuable performer. Who you got?
My most valuable performer of Game 7, I'd have to give it to Adam Eaton. He was responsible for 2 RBIs. He got on base. He stole a base. Made some plays with his glove again. I'd have to give it to him just for Game 7 specifically.
Juan Solo Soto as my most valuable performer for Game 7. The kid gets up there when we need one and either finds a way to get on base or he just solo home run.
Right before he took the walk off of Brinky, that ultimately ended up being the game-tying run because Howie came up right after him and hit the home run, and Howie was the go-ahead run. I just love that at bat.
Yeah, him being on base all the time at the end of the game is what was one of the main problems for the Astros. Hinch looked like he saw either Jesus or a ghost. I don't know which. He was out of ideas. All he could do is say, "Okay, I hope that when my hitters come up at the bottom, that they will be able to get something going." Because those last 3 innings, the Nats had 2 on base before you could blink every time. What about for this series? Who's your most valuable performer for the World Series?
My most valuable performer for the whole series would be the childish man, Juan Soto. I mean, it's not often that you have a player so young be so prolific on the big stage. The Astros were a 107-win team. They had won, I think, 60 games at home throughout the season, which I believe that was the most home wins in the AL, if not the MLB. And we came in there and beat them in their house for 4 straight games. Soto performed big in every game. He made some plays with his glove. The Astros had not intentionally walked anyone all year, and they intentionally walked Juan Soto because they were afraid.
Oh, what a time to be alive. Yeah, I would give my most valuable performer. I struggled because I went back and forth between Soto and Strasburg and even Rendon. And I'm going to settle on Strasburg. I got my season tickets to the Nationals because we drafted Steven Strasburg. We had still 1-0 and we were still losing 100 games a year at the time. But I felt like, and I still consider that like 2011 Nationals team like the team that I connect to the most, because when you showed up to the ballpark with Ross Detweiler pitching, you had no idea whether you're getting a win or a loss. We're depending on Ian Desmond and Wilson Ramos, and they were young. And, the Nats, as we've known them from 2012 on, are basically a team full of all-stars. But back then it was a different team. And so I have a lot of fond memories. And Strasburg is pretty much all that's left of that team. My Nats journey became more involved with Strasburg, and he's taken us to the pinnacle. That's why Strasburg is my most valuable performer.
And I liked all those players that you named, the Buffalo, Wilson Ramos, Ian Desmond, Ross Detweiler, not as much, but I liked him too. He was basically like a taller version of Sean Doolittle that started. He only threw 2 pitches, fastball and a changeup.
Yeah, those were fun times. The ballpark was half empty. Beer somehow only cost $7, which we were still complaining about. But let's start talking about some things that may be less fun, but hopefully work out in our favor. Are Rendon and Strasburg on the 2020 Nationals?
I hope so. I don't think Strasburg is going to opt out. I believe if he wants to do it, he has to do it within the next 3 or 4 days from now. I don't think he's going to opt out. I think Strasburg respects the way that the organization treated his injury initially and any injuries that he's had since. I looked up his contract the other day. He is still owed $100 million of his $170 million deal that we signed him to. That should be enough. Do you really need $30 million more dollars? As far as Rendon goes, it was wrong to lowball him with 210 if Nolan Arenado set the market and you're offering him one less year in his deal, I think the starting price for Rendon is going to be $230, and that's what they should have offered him off the break. He definitely did nothing but drive the price up this postseason with the way he performed because he was ballless. We are probably option one, but if another team backs up the Brinks truck, he'll be gone.
So I agree with you on Strasburg. From what I can gauge from his personality, he doesn't seem the type. And, I mean, even when he got the Corvette last night, he didn't look particularly interested in it. As far as Rendon, whatever it takes. I'm Avengers Endgame is my opinion on Rendon. If there's a team out there that is going to say we will pay Rendon $265 million, that we should pay him $266.
So you want to do the prices right with Rendon. Go $1 million over whatever the highest bidder is. There's potentially going to be a lot of turnover on this roster. Most of the veterans were on either 1-year deals or club options for the second years. It's going to be interesting.
Right. I'm going to have fond memories of the shit I was talking earlier and the run we went on mid to late season, and especially the playoffs. I was there for the wild card game.
You'll have fond memories of the future bets that you put in on the Astros and the Nationals.
We can wrap it up there. I will see you at the parade, Frazier. Thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And if you were thinking that this was a waste of your time, remember, no one asked for this.